Hi, everyone. I'm with Anna Serio, our loans expert, to talk about the new Main Street lending program that was recently launched by the Federal Reserve to help businesses that are affected by coronavirus. Anna, how are you doing?
Great. Thanks for asking. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So, can you tell us in a nutshell what is the Main Street lending program and how is it different from the previous Paycheck Protection Program?
Yeah, so the Main Street Lending Program is a new loan program by the Federal Reserve, not the Small Business Administration, that offers loans for small and mid-sized businesses. As it exists now, it has fewer restrictions on who can apply, especially in terms of business size. And it also seems to have fewer restrictions in terms of how you use the funds. So it's not just for payroll. But it is a little bit more expensive, and it seems to have higher starting amounts, though it's not clear if when it actually launches, it will have those amounts as the minimum.
And can you give us a breakdown of what this new loan entails?
Yeah, so basically, as it exists right now, loan amounts run from 1 million to 25 million for new loans, or 150 million if you want to add a loan or add funding to a loan amount that you already have. The interest rates are based on the secured overnight financing rate, so it's a variable rate, plus 2.5% to 4%. Now, this variable rate might change. Banks have been asking for the Federal Reserve to use a LIBOR rate or maybe even the Wall Street Journal prime rate, which are a lot higher than the secured overnight financing rate. That, since the coronavirus, has been hovering around less than half of a percentage. So these are still pretty low interest loans, but they're definitely more expensive than the 1% interest rate you'd get with the Paycheck Protection Loan. You have 4 years to pay it off, unlike the 1 year that you have with the Paycheck Protection Loan. And these loans come with 1 year of deferment. Um, and the basic eligibility criteria as it exists now is that you can have either no more than 10,000 employees or no more than $2.5 billion in annual revenue, which is a lot bigger. A lot larger businesses can qualify for this loan compared to the Paycheck Protection Loan.
Are there any other eligibility requirements? Like who overall is eligible for this new loan?
Yeah, so you need to currently be in business. You need to be operated and created in the United States. The majority of your employees must be based in the United States. Um, you can't already have another loan through this program, and some types of borrowers are restricted, like you can't be a member of Congress and other borrowers mentioned in the CARES Act, which created the Paycheck Protection Loan Program. It's possible lenders will have other requirements. That's what we saw with the Paycheck Protection Loan Program, but the Federal Reserve hasn't nailed down any of these requirements or really any of these loan details. It was accepting comments from banks, other lenders, business owners on how they would like to see the program changed. Um, so, for example, in addition to a different interest rate and a lower minimum loan amount, you might see changes to the eligibility requirements as well.
And where can you get the Main Street loan?
So now it seems it's available through insured depository institutions. So that's basically a bank that's federally insured. Also, bank holding companies like JP Morgan Chase and savings and loan holding companies like Charles Schwab, I think, is an example of that.
So how can people get this loan? How do they apply?
So the Fed hasn't released guidelines for the application yet, but it's likely that you'll be able to apply directly through the lender, which processes the application. Basically, how it works is that you apply for the loan through the lender. The Federal Reserve creates a holding company that buys 95% of that loan from the lender, and you just repay the loan through the lender as if the Federal Reserve didn't own most of the loan.
And when will this loan be available to businesses?
It's unclear when it's going to be available. The Federal Reserve said that it was taking comments until April 16th, but last I checked, you could still submit comments. So hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we'll start seeing Main Street loans.
And when will it be available until?
So the end date is on at the end of September 2020, but it's possible that the Federal Reserve will extend this past that date, depending on how the economic fallout from the coronavirus continues.
What tips would you give to businesses that are looking to apply for this loan to boost their chances of getting approved?
So there are three main tips that I would give small businesses. One is applying through your bank. A lot of the time, banks are wary of offering loans to unknown customers, especially with new loan programs that don't have all of the details hammered out yet. So working with your bank first, if possible, is usually a good choice. Check for updates as much as you can. This program is new, it's changing. The rates, terms, loan amounts that I mentioned today might not apply in the future. So always check with the Federal Reserve and also with your lender before you apply to make sure it's something that you can really afford to apply for. Also, try to get as much of a accurate calculation of your revenue a year from now before you apply to make sure that you can actually afford the repayments on your loan. If you can't afford it, you'll default, and that could be really bad news for your business. You also probably won't get approved if you don't have proof of or some sort of projections for your revenue in the future after the deferment period ends. So yeah, those are the three main tips I'd give now. More tips will come once we know more about this program.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anna.